The ocean world of Lumina shimmered under 3 pale moons. Coral towers glowed softly in the dusk, and gentle waves washed over crystal shores. For generations, its people lived peacefully. They never raised a weapon. They never built warships. Their greatest pride was the Harmony Gardens, where glowing flowers sang in the wind. Queen Eleanor stood on her balcony, her silk robe fluttering. She was young, only 25, with eyes the color of sea foam. Below, her city bloomed with soft lights. But tonight, those lights were dimmed by fear. "Henry," she called to the old scientist in the room behind her. "Any answer?" Henry Vance adjusted his glasses, fingers trembling over the communication console. His white hair stuck up in worried tufts. "Nothing, Your Grace. Our signals go out, but only silence returns." A low boom echoed in the distance. The horizon flashed red. They came without warning. Warships dark as bruises tore through the atmosphere. They belonged to the Iron Legion, humans from the war-scarred world called Gehenna. Their cannons shattered Lumina's tranquil sky. Eleanor gripped the balcony rail. "Why do they do this? We have no armies to fight them, because we have what they want," Henry replied grimly. "Our oceans, our resources, our peace." Screams rose from the city square as Genan soldiers marched below. They wore black armor, faceless and cold. One kicked over a Lumina musician's harp. Another tore singing flowers from their roots. Eleanor rushed inside, her bare feet cold on the floor. "Send the plea again. Wider this time, to every star that might hear us." Henry's hands flew over the console. A holographic map of the galaxy spun above them. Tiny lights pulsed each, a cry for help. "We've begged the neighboring systems for weeks, Eleanor. They fear Gehenna too much to help." Another explosion rocked the tower. Dust rained from the ceiling. Queen fell to her knees, tears cutting paths through the dust on her face. She clasped her hands, not to any god, to the stars themselves. "Please," she whispered, "if anyone is out there, anyone brave enough, save my people. We cannot fight. We can only plead." Henry added her words to the transmission. His voice cracked. "Signal away, but the Legion breaches the lower city. We have minutes, Eleanor, maybe less." Eleanor rose, wiping her tears. She opened a carved wooden box. Inside lay Lumina's crown, a simple circle of sea glass. She placed it on her head. "Then we meet them standing." Below, Genan soldiers kicked down doors. Families huddled in glowing caves beneath the coral streets. Children hid their singing flowers in their pockets, afraid the invaders would crush them. Henry watched the console blink hopelessly. No response. Emptiness. A thunderous crash came from the tower's base. Metal boots stomped up the stairs. Closer. Closer. Eleanor faced the doorway, her back straight. Then we faced the end with Harmony. She began to hum an old Lumina lullaby about the sea and stars. Henry joined her, his old voice trembling. Together their song floated through the broken windows, a fragile resistance against the clanging armor. Suddenly, the sky turned white. Not from Genna's weapons. From something ripping through the fabric of space itself, Henry gasped, pointing at the scanner. "Eleanor, the stars," they answered. Above Lumina, monstrous ships dropped from the torn sky. They looked like asteroids, jagged, scarred, and pitted. No elegant metal, no glowing engines, just brutal weathered rock and iron. The Genan soldiers froze on the stairs. Their commander's voice crackled over radios. "What is that? Identify." No one answered. The largest asteroid ship opened like a fanged mouth. Shadows dropped from it, not in shuttles. In freefall, they hit the ground like meteors. Craters erupted in the city square. Dust cleared. Figures stood in the wreckage, tall, clad in armor made of volcanic stone and beast-hide. No helmets, faces hardened by harsh suns and harsher winds. One man, broad as a boulder, lifted a weapon shaped like a ship's anchor. He didn't speak. He didn't demand surrender. He swung. Genan soldiers flew through the air like broken toys. In her broken tower, Eleanor stopped singing. Her plea had been heard. But as she watched the newcomers crush Guyana's warriors like insects, a new fear tightened in her chest. What had the stars sent to save them? Henry whispered the question they both felt. Who, ... are these people? Outside, the armored man looked up. His eyes met Eleanor's across the burning city. Cold, ancient, as relentless as a dying sun. The last word of Lumina's plea still hung in the silence between the stars. Arrived. Chaos swallowed Lumina's capital. Genin soldiers scrambled backward, firing pulse rifles at the stone-armored figures. Bullets sparked harmlessly off volcanic rock plates. The Deathworlders moved like earthquakes, slow, unstoppable, and devastating. One grabbed a Genin tank's barrel. With a grunt, he twisted metal like wet clay. The tank flipped, crushing 2 soldiers beneath it. Queen Eleanor watched from her shattered tower, heart pounding. Henry pointed shakily at the scanner. Life signs. Off the charts, their bodies red like solid iron. Below, the broad-shouldered Deathworlder leader raised his anchor weapon. His voice boomed, rough as grinding stones. Hunt them. His warriors surged forward. They used no guns. They fought with jagged blades, spiked chains, and bare fists. A Ganon shot a Deathworlder point blank. The warrior blinked, glanced at the smoking hole in his chest, then ripped the soldier's arm off. By the waves, whispered Eleanor. They feel no pain. On the Iron Legion's command ship above, Commander Jack Holt slammed his fist on a view screen. Who are these savages? Red dots vanished. He's fallen soldier. His lieutenant, Nina Rhodes, paled. Sensors show they're human, sir, but their biology, ... It's wrong. Radiation levels that would kill us, just cling to them. Holt snarled. Send every dropship, crush them. Back in the city, Deathworlders herded terrified Luminars toward the Coral Gardens. Their movements were efficient, not gentle. One warrior nudged a crying child with his boot. Move or die here. Eleanor rushed into the street, Henry trailing behind. Stop, she shouted at the leader. These are my people. Don't frighten them. The leader turned slowly. His face was a battlefield of scars. One eye gleamed pale blue. The other was milky blind. Frighten them, he kicked a dead Ganon. We saved them. How? Eleanor demanded. Your signal reached Erebus, said a calm female voice. A woman stepped from behind the leader, slim with short black hair and eyes sharp as broken glass. She wore the same stone armor, but carried no weapons. I'm Lena, she said. This is Marcus. She nodded at the scarred man. We heard your plea. Henry gaped. Erebus, the Death World? Humans live there? Lena smiled thinly. Live. We thrive. Acid rains, flesh-eating plants, 2 suns that cook metal. She patted Marcus's arm. His heartbeat once stopped for 8 minutes. He walked it off. Marcus grunted, watching his warriors shred a Genin dropship with bare hands. Your enemies are soft, weak. New explosions rocked the city. 30 Ganon dropships darkened the sky, unleashing armored troops. Marcus bared his teeth. Finally, fight. He grabbed a fallen street lamp, a pole of glowing crystal. With a roar, he charged. The pole smashed through 5 Ganons, scattering them like leaves. Luminors screamed, covering their ears. The violence was a storm they couldn't understand. Lena watched Marcus, her expression unreadable. He'll protect you, but he doesn't know mercy. Erebus taught him only survival. Why help us? Leonard asked. Lena's eyes softened. Because once, long ago, Erebus was like Lumina, peaceful, green. She touched a trampled, singing flower. Then the great dying came. We won't watch another world scream. Above, Nina Rhodes reported to Holt, voice shaking. Sir, losses at 74%. Our skin absorbs energy blasts. Our weapons, ... they're useless. Holt stared at Marcus on the view screen. The Deathworlder stood atop a mountain of wrecked tanks, bellowing a challenge to the dropships. Pull back, Holt ordered. All forces retreat to the Iron Crown. Nina blinked. Retreat, but do it. And ready the Starkiller. Nina froze. The Planet Killer device. Sir Lumina's core will implode. Holt's smile was ice. If we can't have this world, neither can they. On the ground, Ganon troops fled to shuttles. Marcus spat blood on the pavement. Cowards. Suddenly, Lena's wrist device beeped. She read the screen, face hardening. Marcus. The Legion flagship. It's charging something. Huge energy signature. Marcus squinted skyward. What? Lena's fingers flew over her device. It's a resonance bomb. If it fires... ... She looked at Eleanor. But it'll crack your planet open like an egg. Silence fell over the battlefield. The singing flowers trembled. Eleanor faced Marcus. You answered our plea. Can you stop this? Marcus stared at the retreating ships. For the first time, uncertainty flickered in his good eye. Maybe, he said, we'll need to board that ship. He looked at Lena. She nodded slowly. Then Marcus turned to Eleanor. Your people hide well. No. Can they dig deeper? Henry stepped forward. Our deepest coral caves. Radiation shielded. Good, Marcus said. Go there now. He hefted his anchor. Lena and I have a starship to catch. As Eleanor hurried the Luminars underground, she watched the two Deathworlders prepare a slender, spike-shaped vessel. Henry, she whispered, what have we unleashed? Henry watched the spike ship blast toward the Legion flagship. Either salvation, he said quietly, or a faster death. Above them, the sky burned with the fires of fleeing warships and the gathering glow of the Starkiller. The spike ship tore through the Iron Crown's hull like a bullet through paper. Metal screamed, alarms wailed. Marcus and Lena stepped into the enemy flagship, weapons ready. The air smelled like oil and fear. Commander Jack Holt waited for them on the bridge. He stood tall in his black uniform, a smug smile on his face. Soldiers pointed shaking guns at the two Deathworlders. Welcome to your tomb, Holt said. You stopped my soldiers, but you won't stop this. He pointed to a giant screen. It showed a pulsing red light deep within Lumina. The Starkiller bomb is already planted. It vibrates. Soon it will shatter your precious ocean world from the inside out. Nothing can stop it now. Marcus didn't flinch. We'll see. He moved forward. Shoot them, Holt yelled. Pulse rifles fired. Bright bolts filled the air. Marcus raised his anchor weapon. It spun, deflecting the blasts like water off a rock. Lena darted sideways, quick as a shadow. Her hands weren't empty anymore. Sharp, bone-like blades slid from her sleeves. Soldiers fell before they could turn. Holt backed away, his smile gone. You monsters. You made us, Lena hissed, kicking a soldier aside. Worlds like Gehenna made Erebus necessary. Arcus grabbed a soldier by the neck. The bomb. Where is it controlled? His voice was quiet, dangerous. The soldier choked. Secondary, ... Control, ... B7. Marcus dropped him. Lena, find it. Disarm it. Lena nodded and vanished down a corridor. Shh. Marcus faced Holt. You wanted to fight? What? Holt pulled out an energy blade. You think you're strong? You're just animals from a rock? They clashed. Holt was fast, trained. His blade sparked against Marcus's stone armor. Marcus was slower, heavier, but each blow from his anchor shook the floor. Holt sliced Marcus's arm. Dark blood welled up. Marcus barely grunted. He swung the anchor. Holt dodged, but the wind of it knocked him off balance. Below on Lumina, Eleanor and Henry watched the Iron Crown through a broken tower window. The huge ship hung like a dark cloud. Lena had sent a short message. Bomb active. Trying. Suddenly, the Starkiller pulsed brighter on the scanner screen. The ground trembled faintly. Singing flowers wilted instantly. Oh no, Henry whispered. It's getting stronger. Eleanor felt sick. Can Lena stop it? Henry checked his readings. I don't know. The vibrations. ... They're feeding into Lumina's core. If it peaks. ... On the Iron Crown's secondary deck, Lena found the bomb control panel. Wires and lights covered it. She hooked her wrist device into the system. Symbols flashed rapidly. Come on, she muttered. Find the shutdown sequence. Her device beeped urgently. The bomb's power was rising too fast. Standard disarming wouldn't work. It was built to resist. She saw Marcus's plan forming in the system schematics. He was still fighting Holt on the bridge, but he'd sent another signal. To his own asteroid ship? Oh, Marcus. Lena breathed. Understanding. It's too much. On the bridge, Marcus had Holt pinned. Holt's blade was broken. He gasped for air, blood on his lip. You lose, Deathworlder, Holt spat. The bomb fires in minutes. You can't win. Marcus looked at the view screen showing Lumina. He looked at the pulsing red light marking the bomb, and he spoke into his communicator. Fire on my signal. Target the Iron Crown's main reactor. A rough voice answered from the asteroid ship. Understood, General. Reddy Holt's eyes widened in horror. You'll destroy your own ship. You're insane, Marcus. Ignored him. He looked towards the deck where Lena worked. Lena, get clear. Now, Lena's voice crackled back, desperate. Marcus, wait, there might be another way. The people below know time, Marcus said, his voice final. This is the only way to break the bomb's signal. Fire. He raised his anchor, ready to finish Holt. Above them, giant guns of the Erebus asteroid ship glowed, aiming at the Iron Crown's heart. The deck shuddered as power built. Eleanor and Henry saw the glow too, from Lumina's surface. It looked like a new, angry star. He's going to destroy them both, Eleanor whispered, horrified. Her saviors were going to blast the ship right above her world. Henry stared, pale. To break the bomb's control, he might shatter the Iron Crown and rain fire down on us instead. The pleas to the stars were over. Down. They could only watch the brutal solution unfold in the burning sky. Marcus hit the bridge floor like a falling rock. Soldiers opened fire. Bullets sparked off his stone armor. He swung his anchor weapon in a wide arc. 2 soldiers flew backwards. Another crumpled with a sickening crunch. Lena dropped down behind him, firing a small device. Blue light pulsed. 3 soldiers screamed, clutching their ears, weapons falling. Commander Holt backed towards the main console, his face twisted with rage and fear. The Starkiller timer glowed red. 0 hours, 1 minute, and 15 seconds. 14:13. Kill them, Holt shrieked. Lieutenant Nina Rhodes stood frozen near the weapon controls. Lena dodged gunfire, scrambling towards a secondary console. Marcus, keep them off me. I need to turn the ship. Her fingers flew over the keys. Marcus roared, a sound like tearing metal. He charged Holt's remaining guards. His anchor smashed through armor and bone. He moved with terrifying speed, a whirlwind of destruction. Blood sprayed the cold metal floor. Holt saw Nina still hesitating. Rhodes, fire the Starkiller now. Don't let them stop it. He lunged for the console himself. Nina acted, but not as Holt ordered. She threw herself in front of Holt, blocking his path to the firing controls. No, sir, it kills everyone. Holt snarled, backhanding her across the face. Nina stumbled, hitting the deck hard. Traitor. Duh. The timer reached 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 45 seconds. Marcus saw Holt reaching for the glowing fire button. There was no time. With a burst of impossible speed, Marcus crossed the bridge. He grabbed Holt's arm just as the commander's finger touched the button. Holt screamed as Marcus crushed his wrist. The sound of snapping bone was loud. Marcus didn't stop. He lifted Holt off the ground, ignoring the man's kicks and curses. Lena, now. Marcus bellowed. Almost. Lena shouted back, sweat pouring down her face. Screens flashed warnings around her. The engines are fighting me. 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 30 seconds. Marcus looked at Holt, struggling weakly in his grip. He looked at the red fire button Holt had almost pressed. Rage, cold and deep, filled Marcus's good eye. Erebus had no prisons. Erebus had no mercy for threats. He moved fast. Before Holt could scream again, before Lena could protest, Marcus slammed Holt's head down onto the edge of the main console. There was a terrible crack. Holt went limp. Marcus dropped the body. Nina gasped, scrambling backwards, her hand pressed to her bleeding mouth, eyes wide with horror. 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 15 seconds, Lena. Marcus roared. Got it. Lena slammed her fist onto the console. Brace. The entire Iron Crown groaned like a dying beast. Metal screamed. The massive ship began a slow, agonizing turn. Outside the view screen, the stars wheeled sickeningly. The glowing core of Lumina slid away, replaced by the vast, dark shape of the ship's own engine cluster. The Starkiller timer hit 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. A blinding white beam, thick as a mountain, erupted from the weapon. But instead of lancing down towards Lumina, it shot sideways, tearing through the ship's own superstructure. It punched straight into the heart of the Iron Crown's massive engines. The silence lasted a heartbeat. Then the universe exploded. The view screen went white. The bridge lurched violently, throwing everyone to the floor. Alarms shrieked like dying birds. Lights flickered and died, replaced by the hellish red glow of emergency strips. Fire erupted from shattered panels. The air filled with smoke and the smell of burning metal. Marcus hauled himself up, pulling Lena to her feet. Nina crawled towards them, coughing. The engines. They're overloading. Nina choked out. Lena looked at her scanner, face grim. The beam hit the main power core. It's a chain reaction. This whole ship is going to blow. We have minutes, maybe seconds. Marcus grabbed Nina roughly. Escape pods. Where? Nina pointed a shaking hand towards a side corridor. Deck 2, but go. Marcus shoved her towards the door. Run, don't look back. He turned to Lena. You too. Lena shook her head, already moving towards a sparking console. The explosion. If the blast wave hits Lumina, ... We turned the ship. Marcus yelled over the rising roar. Not enough. The debris. The shockwave. Lena plugged her device into the console. I need to trigger the emergency bulkheads. Seal the blast in sections. By Lumina time. Go, Marcus. Marcus hesitated for only a second. He saw the determination in Lena's eyes, the same look she had when facing Erebus's acid storms. He grabbed her arm. Together, or not at all. He pulled her towards the corridor Nina had fled down. The ship shuddered again, a deep, final groan. Behind them, the bridge vanished in a fireball that raced down the passageway after them. The small boat cut through the choppy silver sea. Queen Eleanor stood at the bow, ignoring the spray. Her eyes stayed locked on the black smoke ahead. Henry Vance steered, his face grim. Behind them, 2 Lumina healers clutched medical kits, their knuckles white. They found the spike ship half sunk in shallow water, its sharp nose buried in sand, tail broken and smoking. Eleanor jumped into the surf, wading towards the cracked hatch. Henry and the healers followed. Inside was chaos. Sparks fizzed from broken panels. Nina Rhodes lay unconscious, strapped in a seat, a cut on her forehead. Lena Shaw was trying to pull Marcus Grant free. His massive frame was pinned under a fallen support beam. Blood, dark and thick, seeped from his side onto the metal floor. "Help me!" Lena gasped, her strength failing. Eleanor and Henry rushed forward. Together they heaved. The beam groaned, then shifted just enough. Lena dragged Marcus clear. The healers worked fast. They pressed cloths to Marcus's wound, their gentle hands a contrast to the Deathworlders' brutal scars. Lena slumped against the wall, breathing hard, watching them. "He lost too much blood," she whispered, her voice raw. "Even for him." Eleanor knelt beside Marcus. His face was pale, the fierce light in his good eye dimmed. "Will he live?" he asked a healer. The healer looked uncertain. His body ... it fights. Harder than any we've seen, but the damage. Outside, the waves lapped against the broken ship. The smoke thinned against the blue sky. Lumina was safe. The cost lay bleeding on the floor. 1 year later, Queen Eleanor walked through the reborn Harmony Gardens. New coral towers, pale but growing, reached for the sun. Singing flowers carefully replanted filled the air with soft, hopeful melodies. Children laughed, chasing glowing butterflies. Near the central fountain, Marcus Grant stood. He wore simple gray clothes, not armor. A thick scar marked his side where the beam had pierced him. He looked at the flowers, his expression unreadable. Lena Shaw stood beside him, healthier now, her sharp eyes softened. "Your city heals," Marcus said, as Eleanor approached. His voice was quieter than before. "Thanks to your people," Eleanor replied. She nodded towards the horizon. Erebus engineers worked alongside Luminars, using strange machines to repair cracked earth and poisoned water. They teach us strength. We teach them... This she touched a singing flower. It chimed softly. Marcus stared at the flower. On Erebus, flowers bite, or spit acid. He reached out slowly, carefully. His rough finger brushed a petal. The flower didn't bite. It sang a little louder. A flicker, something like wonder, crossed his scarred face. "Soft," he murmured. Lena smiled. Jack Holt lives, locked away deep. His war is over, and Nina, Eleanor asked. Works with Henry, Lena said. Teaching us about stars that don't want to kill you. She looked at Marcus. Our ship is repaired. Erebus calls us home. Eleanor felt a pang. Must you go? Marcus looked away from the flower, meeting her gaze. His good eye held a new depth. We are Deathworlders, Eleanor. We break things. Your world needs builders now. He paused. Lena stays. She will lead our people here. Build the alliance. Eleanor looked at Lena, who nodded. We belong together now, Lena said. Lumina and Erebus, light and shadow, we need both. Marcus bent down, very carefully. He plucked the singing flower he had touched. He held it out to Eleanor. It was a simple thing, fragile in his huge, battle-scarred hand. A gift, he said, the word unfamiliar on his tongue. For the queen who pleaded with the stars and wasn't afraid of what answered. Eleanor took the flower. Song vibrated gently against her palm. She saw the effort in his gesture, the attempt to touch something gentle without breaking it. Thank you, Marcus Grant. He gave a single, stiff nod. Without another word, he turned and walked towards the waiting Erebus shuttle. It looked like a piece of stormy night sky, jagged and dark. Eleanor watched him go, the singing flower held close. Lena stood beside her, a bridge between two worlds. Later, as the shuttle became a speck climbing towards the stars, Eleanor stood on her balcony. The same balcony where she had pleaded for salvation a year ago. Below, Lumina glowed peacefully. Erebus engineers laughed with Lumina children. The scarred lands slowly greened. She looked at the stars, bright and clear. She didn't plead anymore. She remembered the terrifying crash of Deathworlders, the brutal fight, the bleeding soldier in the broken ship, and the rough hand offering a fragile flower. The stars glittered cold and distant. They weren't gods to beg from. They were silent watchers. Watchers of a universe where humans from a garden world and humans from a hell world had found a way to stand together. Where salvation sometimes wore a scarred face and learned to touch a flower without crushing it. Above Lumina, the stars glittered not as gods to beg from, but as silent witnesses to humanity's endless, brutal reinvention